We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle, baby, talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
In the words of the great band The Beatles, I've got nothing to say, but it's okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Ha! I am Flannel Sam, filling in on the morning show. To the man to my left, the collaboration you've all been wanting for, the collaboration you might not want, but you need. It is two-time NBA champion, both with the Kobe and Shaq Lakers in 2002, and of course our beloved going to work Pistons in 2004, Lindsey Hunter.
Morning.
What it do, man?
Morning, fam. I am Flannel.
Oh man, I've wanted this to happen for so long, and I'm very excited to have it today. And in the chair, of course, we've got the one, the only, Gabby Phillips. How you doing, Gabby?
I'm doing great this morning, Flannel. Happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you. And of course, if I'm Brock Purdy, JV Smoove is my Trent Williams, the great JV Smoove in the sound booth. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. How you all doing?
I'm good. I've been doing a lot of shows with you this week, but honestly, I would not want anyone in the entire world running the sound booth when I'm on the desk than JV Smoove. And of course, I'm going to make Alex Westfall show himself today. Put the camera on yourself, Westy. We got Alex Westfall in the technical director booth. He's not going to do it, unfortunately. Hey, there he is. And ladies, he is single. He is on the market. Be prepared to snatch up that handsome man because he's not going to be available for too long. But anywho, very, very happy to be here with you guys today. First off, we're just going to get right into it. Lindsey, as somebody who used to play in the NBA, what do you think of the play-in tournament as a whole?
I was indifferent about it. I didn't think it would work. I didn't think I would like it because I'm kind of old school where I think the 8 teams that made it, they deserve to be in the playoffs. Like, why are you giving outside people chances to make the playoffs when they didn't earn it throughout the regular season?
That's fair, but you watched, though, didn't you?
I did.
There's some exciting games.
I did watch. It is kind of exciting to see, teams try to fight to get in, teams that legitimately made it fight to stay in.
Absolutely. And you look at last night, for example, you look at the first game, the Bulls defeating the Raptors, coming back from 19 down. It was in a lot of ways a Raptors choke job. You said that the Raptors were 18 of 36 from the free throw line.
Yes.
But these are teams that have the talent. You'd think that they should be above a play-in team. You look at the Chicago Bulls, the team that won that last night, that finished 40 and 42. They've got Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic. Those are 3 all-stars. You look at a DeMar DeRozan, he might be a future Hall of Famer playing some of the best basketball of his career with Chicago. And they didn't even have a winning record. But that means that if they can get hot, I'm not saying they're going to go in and beat Milwaukee, but they might actually make the playoffs. I could see them going into Miami and winning. They're too talented to be in the play-in game. And these are the teams you got to watch out for.
Absolutely. And a team like this, going into Miami, the way Miami looked the last time we saw them, that wasn't the Jimmy Butler that everybody was proclaiming is playoff Butler. He's going to be the guy in the playoffs. He looked nowhere near the Jimmy Butler that we were accustomed to seeing. So that could possibly happen, and I think it will if Zach LaVine plays the way he is playing right now. They could go into Miami and kick them out.
Zach LaVine was amazing last night. And Miami's another team. In the bubble, they made the finals. They're another team that has...
We're counting the bubble?
We are counting the bubble.
I'm not counting the bubble.
You don't count the bubble?
It's like bubble gum. I'm not counting the bubble.
We all know the reason you don't count the bubble.
Why?
It's because
What's
LeBron James won the championship.
No,
that's the reason.
No, that's not why I'm not counting the bubble. It's just... It's like the year the San Antonio Spurs won the lockout year.
Yeah.
It's just an asterisk next to it.
Well, but it launched Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan. It's funny, that was their first one. But
yeah, but they were going to win regardless because they were good. They had Tim Duncan and the Admiral.
Yeah.
Come on.
The Twin Towers.
Yes.
But, the point, though, is that someone had to go to the finals, and it was the Miami Heat. They're a team that has been a perennial playoff team even after LeBron left. And they're another team, Jimmy Butler, future Hall of Famer. He, in a lot of ways, earned his reputation as playoff Jimmy. I don't know if he's a number one on a championship team, but he's played well. And then you got Bam Adebayo, who is, what would you say, a top 5 to 7 big men in the NBA?
Easily.
Yeah,
Easily.
For sure. And then Tyler Hero, who's instant offense off the bench. They're all playing well, but they're another one. They might bow out before they even make the playoffs, but if they get in and make a run, they've shown that they can be dangerous and maybe play above their seeding. Speaking of teams that are really exciting moving forward, how about the Oklahoma City Thunder?
I love their young nucleus. They are super talented, but it's about time. How long have we been waiting? They've accumulated a gazillion picks. So you need to start winning. I don't want to hear how great their GM is. Oh, man, he's really great. Yeah, he had a run where he picked 3 future Hall of Famers. He did a great job. A lot of people doubted the James Harden pick. A lot of people doubted the Westbrook pick. The KD pick was obvious.
Well, yeah, after Greg Oden was off the board, obviously.
It was obvious.
Yeah.
But after that, they have been struggling for years. So, why does he get a pass?
Well, for this year, Chet Holmgren's been out. So I think how they have played has actually been, I wouldn't say a revelation, but you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander turning into a borderline superstar right before our eyes.
He's really good. He's always been good, though.
He's always been good. But he's taken that next step this year. He's a guy that I could maybe foresee being a 1 on a championship team. Absolutely. Definitely. And then you got Josh Giddey, who is turning out to be he had a great game yesterday.
Oh, man. I've watched him throughout the season, and he gets better and better every time I see him. And his outside jumper is looking a lot better because he was mostly a mid-range and he shoot a lot of runners. But with his size, man, he can get into the paint and really be effective. But him shooting threes and making them, man, he makes them really tough.
Oh my God! If he can get his jump shot, if he can get his 3-point shot, he's already a great distributor. He showed a lot of flashes his last season, but he has taken that second-year step, and he is one of the reasons why Oklahoma City was in the play-in game, and they won at New Orleans. And of course, Jalen Williams, he's a guy he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, but
he's going to push it. He's pushing for it.
I don't think he's going to overtake Paolo.
No, I don't think he will either.
But at the same time, he could be number 2 or 3.
Easily.
He's had a great season.
Easily. I don't know another rookie that you could say has clearly outplayed him.
Absolutely not.
Other than Powell.
A lot of people are going to get mad that I didn't say Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was
been great.
Great, yeah.
But this kid, I mean, he's a third option on a play-in team,
yes.
Or, playoff play-in, whatever you want to call it.
But I'll tell you what, they might go into Minnesota and beat the Minnesota Timberwolves and make it to the playoffs.
Well, that dysfunctional group, I can definitely see that happen.
Yeah, that dysfunctional group for sure. I mean, Rudy Gobert got himself suspended. Jaden McDaniels punched a wall, broke his hand. He would have been valuable against the Lakers, who we will get to later, but that's another team. You got Anthony Edwards, who's obviously an up-and-coming star guard. He was terrible in that game. He was terrible.
And for some of these guys, Anthony Edwards, they played in this last year, right? And he did well. He played well. So I don't know what it was with him the other night. It was just something off about him. I don't know if it was with all the distractions, because he made some statements saying, I just want to play somewhere where we're all pulling in the same direction. So you can't go into a playoff game with everybody scattered going in different directions, and I think that's kind of what's happening to them.
Absolutely. And Karl Anthony Towns, he's another one who's one of the, I'd say, top 5 to 7 big men. He hasn't really won anything, but he hasn't always had the best surround. What's your thoughts on Cat?
Sam,
yeah.
I watched him a lot because I knew he was talented because, watching him at Kentucky, Cal never lets his guys do what they really are capable of, which is, that's Cal. Mm-hmm. But he plays losing basketball to me. I watch Karl Anthony Towns, and he'll get the ball, and it's just like, oh, it's my turn to score. Regardless of what is going on the court, I'm double-teamed. I'm just going to put my head down and score. When a lot of times all he has to do is make the extra pass to a teammate, play winning basketball, not hero ball, and he does that a lot. Now, he's talented. He's definitely talented and can be a number 1 on a really good team. But he has to learn to play winning basketball. That crap I'm watching him do, shooting with 3 and 4 people on, can't win that way.
The only good thing about Karl Anthony Towns was who is he picked over? Jahlil Okafor. That was obviously the right pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but obviously. But the thing about the play-in tournament this year that I found to be most fascinating, and I kind of touched on it with teams like the Chicago Bulls, the Miami Heat. we also have to talk about the Atlanta Hawks, who played their way into the playoffs by beating Miami at Miami. This is another team that just a couple years ago, they played the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
People seem to forget about it. And in the offseason, they added DeJounte Murray. They still have Trae Young. They still have John Collins. They still have Bogdanovich. This is another team where if you're the Atlanta Hawks, you're thinking, we shouldn't be in the play-in game. We should be better. But they really haven't been. What's your thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks?
I didn't think they got better. They lost a couple of key pieces to me. And with the turmoil going on with Trae Young and the coaching changes and, people blaming him, saying he's, coach killer now. And then the report coming out saying the front office gave them the freedom to shop Trae Young right before the play-in game. Like, why would you put that out?
I don't know. Because, Trae Young is supposed to be your franchise. I don't think that he's a number one on a championship team.
Right.
His shooting he's one of those guys, and I think you'll agree with me, he thinks he's a better shooter than he actually is. People were trying to sort of brand him as a Steph Curry type player, and it's like, he can't shoot like that. He pulls up for those 35-foot threes. It's like, you can't do that. You're not Steph Curry.
But to his credit now, he is a big game player.
He's good.
He shows up in the big moments.
Fair enough.
You watched him in college. Dude was leading the nation in scoring and assists. Like, that's hard to do at his size.
Oh, yeah.
And he's really not a great athlete, per se.
No.
Like, he moves great in space, and he has the quickness, and he's elusive and clever. But he's not a great athlete. And he's probably, 6 feet?
Yeah. Who's taller, me or Trae Young? Probably me. Probably me, and I'm only 6'2" in shoes, so probably me. And then the last team that we have to talk about briefly in the play-in tournament is the New Orleans Pelicans and the Zion Williamson situation, because it looked as if he was healthy enough to play in warm-ups. He had that quote where he's like, I'm feeling fine, but I'm not going to play until I feel like Zion. And Zion Williamson, here's the thing about him.
He is feeling like Zion. He's always hurt.
That's fair. When he's one of the most injured players in NBA history. When he plays, he's elite. He gives you 26 and 7 on 60% shooting.
Surprisingly, though, Sam,
efficiency.
He has played up to this point. If you measure the same time frame, he's played more games than Embiid has played when he was injured.
Oh, yeah. Well, Joel Embiid, what did he miss? Almost 2 full seasons?
Yes. So there is hope.
There is hope. Because Embiid has turned the corner to where he's probably going to win MVP this year.
Should, rightfully so.
Honestly.
So.
JB, do you have any thoughts on the play-in tournament? Did you watch? I know you watched.
Oh, I definitely watched. The play-in tournament kind of reminds me of the bubble playoffs a little bit, just because it's just pure basketball. Underdogs might show up and win. I think they take everything out of it. I think the guys play a little bit harder, just knowing that they're fighting for those last 2 spots in each division. So, it was a cool tournament. I wasn't expecting the Hawks to pull this off, because I was hoping, playoff Jimmy Butler would show up, but I was wrong on that one. But I also wanted to be known on heavyweights last night. I called both of those games last night.
Okay, JB, did you bet on them?
I did not.
You did not bet
on them.
And you're a degenerate gambler. You would have actually got some wins.
I know.
It's sad. I didn't think there was any bet that you wouldn't take.
I think I just let that one slip away.
It's all right, though. The funny thing is the play-in tournament, I have mixed feelings about it, too. I think that you should just make the playoffs at either the 7 or 8 seed. If you didn't earn it, if you get the 9 and 10, it was just a way to add excitement. But at the same time, I'm watching the games. We'll talk about later. I stayed up until late watching the Lakers-Timberwolves game. I was pretty sluggish yesterday because I was up till 2 in the morning. But anywho, coming up next, there's a certain Jeff Okudah that just got traded. What does it mean for another Detroit Lion who's been a little bit of a disappointment in his career? But first, I have to tell you about Alta, because at Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You have a big project coming up, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today at 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That is 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
The Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling game. There are 2 ways to play, $12 unlimited open play or $120 lane reservation for up to 10 people. They've got a $2 mystery beer machine and a full bar. Check it out at the Fulling Warehouse or visit them online at fullingwarehouse.com. Cruising along on the morning Woodward show. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Adam and Jeff. We got Lindsey to my left, Lindsey Hunter, Gabby Phillips in the chair, JB Smooth in the sound booth, and Alex Westfall in the technical director's booth. If you can't catch the show live, be sure to check it out. Check out the podcast. It's available anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify. And while you're on the website watching the show, check out some of the merch. They just recently added a Stoked Not Scared t-shirt, which was coined on Big D Energy, where you will see me later, and along with Neil Rule and Darren McCarty, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Stoked Not Scared! Stoked Not Scared! Stoked Not Scared! Stoked Not Scared!
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there's a certain Jeff Okudah who was traded this week. It was the biggest news all week. It broke when I was in the sound booth actually on Big D Energy. I believe it was on Tuesday, and it was all the rage. They traded him to the Atlanta Falcons for a 5th round pick. And it got me to thinking about another Detroit Lions draft pick from a few years ago who has been a bit of a disappointment. He was a 2nd round pick, not a top 3 pick, but that is one DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift is somebody that, coming into this past season, I had high hopes for. One of my first crazy declarations, which turned out to be crazy, I was in that booth, and Neil Rule, who was sitting right here, came to me and said, "What are your thoughts on DeAndre Swift?" This was in the offseason. I think this was even before the summer. I said, DeAndre Swift will lead the NFC in rushing this year.
You said that?
I said that. And I could not have been more wrong.
Hard pass.
And the biggest problem with him has always been health. And now I've kind of went the opposite way on DeAndre Swift, because I think he's getting a little bit of a pass from some of the fans. People say, oh, he's great when he's healthy. Did you know his career high in rushing yards for a season is 617? That's not very good. And a lot of people might say, how many games did he play? Right, that's the problem. He never plays a full season. Everybody talks about how good he is catching the ball out of the backfield. His career high in receiving yards for a season, 453. For a running back, that's fine, but people are acting like he's Christian McCaffrey or something like that. If he were healthy, he'd have 1,000. You're intimately familiar with Christian McCaffrey as a 49ers fan.
Don't ever use that comparison.
And maybe
it's blasphemous.
And maybe nobody actually said that, but people act like
only you.
People act like he was gonna, like he has this potential of being a 1,000 guy. So the question is, and I'm gonna start with this one: do you trade DeAndre Swift? I would probably say no. I would let him play out this upcoming year. It's his last year under contract, and just see what he can give.
Well, here's the thing. Even if you wanted to trade him, what value does he have?
I mean, Jeff Okudah got you a 5th round pick, so I don't know. Probably not a whole lot.
Exactly.
Let's see what you can get out of him and just let him go, because DeAndre Swift is certainly not someone that you're going to pay. I don't foresee – do you foresee him playing a full season this next year?
I would like to see him play at least 12 games, because I really think I love what he brings, the versatility. He's really quick and fast. He's a great change-up back.
He is.
And can catch it out the backfield, you know. But man, if he can stay healthy, I think he adds a lot to the Lions' offense. But like you said, man, availability is the best ability.
It is the best
ability. And he has to be available for us to see you know?
Yeah, he has to be available, and he just hasn't been.
Yeah.
And we're coming into the next season with David Montgomery as their RB1, and he's obviously more of a complete back. He's a clear upgrade over Jamal Williams. He provides you something catching the ball out of the backfield, which Jamal Williams really didn't do. David Montgomery was sort of bred from day one to be an RB1, and Jamal Williams was thrust into that role, although he did perform admirably last season. So DeAndre Swift isn't going to be asked to do much. At this point, with what I think you could get for him, which is basically nothing.
Right.
You might as well just let him play the season out and just milk what you can.
Right.
Maybe he'll have a career year, but even if he does, I probably wouldn't pay him. But that leads to the discussion of, if you trade DeAndre Swift, if you don't see him as part of the future, do you draft a running back? And one of the running backs that's gotten a lot of steam moving forward is the guy that I believe, and I think everybody believes, is the clear number one prospect at running back, and that's Bijan Robinson.
Well, they're comparing this guy to Saquon Barkley. Like, that's the type of back they're saying he is. And, man, they don't come around often.
They don't. He's certainly the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley was so highly thought of that in this era, he was drafted number 2 overall, which is insane because running backs have been a little bit devalued. Although there have been some first-round running backs recently who have panned out. You look at Saquon, you look at Zeke Elliott, you look at Christian McCaffrey, you look at Josh Jacobs. It's not necessarily a losing cause. I'm not sure if I pull the trigger on Bijan at 18. It depends on what they do at 6. I think there's a lot of running backs that you can get later on in the draft. I'm a big fan of Illinois running back Chase Brown, who had over 1,600 yards, 5 yards a carry with a subpar offensive line and no quarterback help. And one of the ways that I gauge players, and I know this is a little bit homerish, I'm a Michigan fan, obviously. I watch all of their games very, very intensely, and I look at what a player does against Michigan. I heard a lot about Chase Brown, and against Michigan, he almost single-handedly carried that offense by himself, rushed for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, including one which gave them the lead, which basically, oh my God, when that happened, I was losing my mind. So he's a guy that I think is really shifty. He's a guy that I would go after, but are you a fan of maybe taking a flyer on Bijan at 18?
I like him. I don't think he'll be around then. I think somebody will take him before then. It just depends. Like you said, it depends on what we do with the first pick.
Yeah.
I think that makes everything else fall in line. And with this regime and the way they've been putting the team together, you got to trust the fact that they're going to make the right moves, or they're going to make the moves that make the most sense.
Sure.
Are they going to take a defensive lineman or a linebacker? Are they going to go that way? We don't know. Somebody was saying, hey, get an offensive lineman to shore up the offensive line to make sure. I mean, we got to see which way they go.
Well, let me pose this to you, because I wouldn't hate it if they went after Bijan Robinson at 18. In a lot of ways, it might even be a steal. But if you draft Bijan Robinson at 18, in order for it to be worth it, you basically have to come right in and be a top 3 to 5 running back in the NFL, basically right away for the length of their first contract. But I do think Bijan Robinson has that potential. I mean, you look at him, he has everything you want. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the between the tackles power. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. One of my favorite Bijan Robinson stats, he averaged 16 yards per catch. And a lot of that is obviously yak yards on screens, but at the same time, that's what you're supposed to do as a running back.
Exactly.
You get the ball in space and you go. Bijan Robinson was last year's Doak Walker Award winner, had over 1,580 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry. And let me pose this to you guys, and this is something that maybe might get you guys a little bit excited about Bijan Robinson. There is precedent for a first-round running back, a highly touted running back, coming into a situation with a great offensive line, which the Lions do have. I think we all agree that's the Lions' strength. What about in 2016, Ezekiel Elliott gets drafted to the Dallas Cowboys? They kind of luck into him. And Zeke leads the NFL in rushing his rookie season. And why did he do that per se? One of the reasons was he's obviously super talented. People forget how good Zeke was. But he was running behind the best offensive line in the NFL with Zach Martin, with Tyron Smith, and Travis Frederick at the peak of their powers. I'm not saying that Bijan Robinson is going to come in and be rookie Zeke Elliott. I'm just saying that he's coming into a better situation than, say, like a Saquon Barkley did, or even a Josh Jacobs, or even a Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, we forget, had struggles his rookie year. But Bijan Robinson would be coming into a perfect situation. Does that sway you at all?
I like I said, I like the idea of it. I just think it really depends on what we do with the first pick. But getting a running back, knowing that you have a great offensive line, that's gonna do nothing but help. That any team that drafts a running back and your offensive line consists of you and me, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. So, I mean, I think it just has to make sense. And, a lot of teams, they get caught up in, I'm going to draft the talent. But I think you have to draft not only what you need, but what's compatible to what you already have. Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks are number one. You got to have a quarterback. But then you can draft a great quarterback and ruin him if you don't have an offensive line. We've seen that happen time after time. The quarterback's supposed to be, this guy's what Derek Carr's brother,
David,
was ruined.
He was absolutely ruined. That wasn't his fault.
Yeah, he was ruined.
He got
no line, no help whatsoever, and now we'll never hear from him again.
No, he got taken by the expansion Houston Texans. I think he has the record for most times sacked in a season at 76.
God.
He was running for his life. I feel bad for him because I think Derek will even tell you that David was better. He was the number one overall pick,
right.
But he went to probably the worst situation you could possibly ever go to. But I guess the reason why I'm talking about running backs is DeAndre Swift. I think it's absolutely on the table that he's traded, and it's definitely on the table that he's not part of the future. So far, he's been disappointing. Could he help us this upcoming year? Absolutely. But you're not going to ask him to be a number one. I thought he was going to be the number one last year, but it didn't happen. Maybe he's just not built for it. JB, what say you on DeAndre Swift?
I'm probably with you on this. I'm just going to let him play out this last contract year that he's got. See if he shows any flashes of something that you might want to keep for the future. Because honestly, as Lindsey said, you're not going to get too much for him right now.
No.
And now would be the best time to do it. Otherwise, another season's going to pass, another tread of those tires. Running back shelf life don't last that long. So, yeah, just let him play out what he has right now. And, I mean, if you see something in him, bring him back. If not, just let him walk.
And Sam, when did this water down? When did the NFL start watering down running backs so fast? Like, it happened overnight.
Yeah.
Like, running backs used to be like a big hot commodity in the NFL, But it just all of a sudden, like, hey, we're running back by committee, and now, we don't have to pay you, and we're gonna get a young guy. And Derrick Henry was phenomenal, but now it's like, hey, we don't really need Derrick Henry. We can trade him. I mean, when did that happen? It seemed like it happened overnight, all of a sudden.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was on Ermanni and Edwards yesterday with Braylon, and I mentioned that if this were the 70s or 80s, we might be looking at Bijan Robinson as the number one overall pick.
Right,
I mean, you saw guys like Earl Campbell and George Rogers, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton from your alma mater, Jackson State, that were, I don't know if they were all number one picks, but they were top 5 picks, and there was no doubt about it. And all of them except George Rogers became dominant Hall of Fame NFL players. And that's what you wanted, a dominant running back then. It was more of a running league. It wasn't a passing league. So Bijan Robinson, he might have played in the wrong era, but I also think that he's one that could be different. I think running backs in a lot of ways can be a dime a dozen. I mean, a guy like Jamal Williams can rush for 1,000 yards in a season behind the Lions' offensive line. No disrespect to Jamal Williams, but
but they're playing, almost double the games that they used to play. So 1,000 yards is really not what it used to be.
Yeah, when like O.J. Simpson and those were number one. He was a top, I think, 3 draft pick himself. He had 2,000 yards in 14 games. Yeah, at one point it was a 14-game season. So I think a lot of them probably don't respect like the 1,000 yard. I don't even think Jamal got to 1,100 in 17. I see exactly.
See what I mean? Like Eric Dickerson would rush for 2,000.
Eric Dickerson. Don't get me started on Eric Dickerson. I love Eric Dickerson. He's another one. Came right in 1,800 his rookie year. 2,000. He still has the record.
Yes.
His second year. Absolutely.
So 1,000 yards for these guys to me is like, yeah, okay, he's supposed to do that.
Well, let me end it on this. Do you think that Bijan Robinson, wherever he goes, he's the type of player that can be drafted and right away be a top 3 to 5 running back in the NFL?
Absolutely.
I mean,
definitely.
Saquon did it.
Yeah,
Zeke
I
did
think
it.
he can do that.
Another one, Todd Gurley, was another one who was drafted high.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, God.
But if you can get 5 years of elite Bijan Robinson with this offense, I don't know. The sky is the limit. Coming up next, there's a certain team in the NBA that I am much, much higher on than one Lindsey Hunter. And we will talk about it. It might get a little spicy in here. But first, tell me about Lady Jane's. Is that me? That is me. My fault. How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut. I actually got one a couple days ago. I think I'm looking pretty good. Those stylists always do a great job. Every single one of them, I would recommend. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991? Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show live on Woodward Sports Network. All right, Lindsey Hunter, I've been watching this Lakers team, especially for the second half of the season. As we all know, I am a huge LeBron fan, and I'm a huge Anthony Davis fan. Definitely a defender of both.
Anthony Street Clothes Davis?
Anthony Davis, well, we'll get into it. Because I want to get to you first, because obviously I respect your basketball acumen, and I admit it, Lindsey Hunter, in a lot of ways, has forgotten more about basketball than I will ever know. So.
Facts.
And I don't deny that. With the Lakers beating the Minnesota Timberwolves and advancing to the first round of the playoff to face the Memphis Grizzlies, do you foresee the Lakers doing any damage?
The only damage I foresee the Lakers doing is to the health of their 2 guys that they're carrying them. They have to carry so much that I just don't see them. I don't see them getting out of the first round. Yeah, I can really see Memphis beating them. I can see that happening because, D'Lo, where was he last game?
Terrible.
Terrible. He was awful. But they have some good pieces. They really went out and they got deeper, and that'll help them a lot. LeBron will be LeBron. Anthony Davis, if he shows up and plays the way he's been playing of late, they'll be fine. And now it won't be an easy series for either team. But I still give Memphis the edge. I think Ja and company, I think they're younger, they're faster, they'll play an up-tempo style, and I think they'll edge the Lakers out.
And for the record, I think that it could happen. The Memphis Grizzlies are obviously a very, very good team. They have some key injuries too. But with Ja coming back, he's maybe the best player in this series, although I think Anthony Davis and LeBron James, if they can ramp it up to a level at which they are even better than Ja. I think so.
Well, we haven't seen that, though. I mean, we've seen it in spurts. Can they play 4 games better than the Memphis Grizzlies? That's what we have to see.
Well, let me give you some numbers on the Los Angeles Lakers and how well they have been playing since the All-Star break. Since the All-Star break, this is about the time where they traded Russell Westbrook. They acquired guys like Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. He was acquired about a week before. 17-7 since the All-Star break.
Oh, wow.
The best record in the NBA since the All-Star break.
Fascinating.
9-2 with one LeBron James. And LeBron James is back. He is playing very, very well. And also, we talk about Anthony Davis. I know a lot of people call him street clothes, which I think is the most disrespectful thing to the first ballot Hall of Famer, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis just came off the best month of basketball he has ever played in March. Western Conference player.
Key being he played.
But Western Conference Player of the Month, when the Los Angeles Lakers needed him most. Thank you, Stephen A., for that one. When the Los Angeles Lakers needed him more than anything, with LeBron James out for an extended period, he came back in late March. Or I don't even know if he came back in March. He might have came back in early April. Anthony Davis was the Western Conference Player of the Month, giving you 28 and 12 on 59% shooting. You know what the Lakers' record was in the games? 9 and 4. You can't dismiss that. Anthony Davis, when he plays, is a top 10 player in the NBA. He's one of the most talented big men ever, one of the best defensive players in the NBA, and there is precedent for him being one of, in my opinion, the best Robins on a championship team ever with what they did in 2020. Anthony Davis was
that the
phenomenal.
bubble?
That was the bubble.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so does that not count?
Asterisk.
So let me just give you a bit of a digress for a second.
Yes, please.
Because
do.
that is something that really bothers me when people talk about the bubble.
Does
as it didn't. It does bother me. You know why? Because
the Mickey Mouse tournament.
If
that
it was
you
so
too?
easy, then why did the Clippers choke it away? Why did Kawhi Leonard and Paul George gag? Why couldn't the Celtics have won it?
First of all, when have the Clippers won anything? So why are we even discussing them? They've never won a championship that I can remember.
I understand that.
So
but
they don't even count.
They still had a talented team with Kawhi, who had championship experience, and Paul George, who had. Why
has
could the
none?
Well, he had some good moments in Indiana and in Oklahoma
in
City.
playoffs.
Yes.
But he has no,
But why couldn't the Boston Celtics win it? Why couldn't
I don't
the
know,
Miami
but
Heat win it?
you know what? Good point. Why couldn't the Boston Celtics win it? But they did get to the championship when the real season started, outside of a bubble Mickey Mouse situation.
I'm just saying, if it's so easy, I guess anyone can do it. I guess anyone can do it.
I never said it was easy. I just said there's an asterisk. Just like the lockout season, there's an asterisk. I'm sorry. Live with it, Flannel. Everybody's going to always associate the bubble as a Mickey Mouse championship. So take your Mickey Mouse ring, put it on, and smile.
And do you know why that is? It's because LeBron James won it. Imagine if James Harden
I
had led the
never mentioned
Rockets.
LeBron.
Imagine
I never mentioned LeBron. I said because of the bubble, and it was played in Mickey Mouse land, that's what it'll be known as.
But someone had to win it.
No fans,
but
no crowd, no nothing, no travel. It's different.
But somebody had to win it. Just imagine if James,
you're right.
If James Harden would have won it or something like that. If Dame Lillard would have won it.
What you're saying is so true because just like on bad teams, somebody has to be the best scorer on a bad team.
Sure.
So somebody had to win the Mickey Mouse Championship because it was played. And it was played in a way that nobody was ever used to doing, in a bubble. People couldn't leave. I mean, it was just a weird situation. And I give it up for LeBron. You won one. You won a cheap one.
A cheap one.
So congratulations. You got 4. All right?
4. Yeah.
Be happy because you'll never get another one.
Hey, you know when they're going to get another one? This season. Because what? They're going to beat the Memphis Grizzlies. Because the Los Angeles Lakers, without a shadow of a doubt, have 2 of the 3 best players in the series, with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And they're both playing at a high level. At age 38, by the way, LeBron is playing. There's no precedent for what he's doing. We at least have to admit that. No precedent whatsoever. Year 20, age 38, still giving you 29 a game at 50% shooting, giving you 30, 10, and 6.
How many games did he sit out this year?
I think he sat out like 26 games.
Okay.
But still, at age 38, and it was for injury. He wasn't load managing. It was for injury.
Really? Was it really for injury?
That foot injury, you saw that happened. He literally sat on the court.
He played after he hurt himself. What do you mean?
He said he heard a pop. You can read his lips.
Sam, do we know how he embellishes injuries? We know that, right? Am I lying about that? Am I embellishing? No. We know if you hit LeBron barely on the jaw, he'll go to the sideline like he just got punched by Mike Tyson. We know that, right?
I mean, he's a dramatic guy sometimes.
Hey, okay.
I will
overly dramatic, yes, very dramatic. So I'm not buying. I heard it pop. I'm not buying that. If you hear something pop in your, I had something pop in my calf once, and I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I heard something pop and I get up and finish the game. But come on, man, I'm not buying that. He just wanted to break.
Well, I mean, but that might actually benefit him when it comes to the playoffs.
And that's my point. He was very calculated in what he was doing.
And that's fair. But you know what? They made it there. And I think they have a very, very good matchup with Memphis. They're missing Brandon Clark, I believe. I don't know if Steven Adams is going to play, but if he doesn't play, that's huge.
I don't think he's playing.
That's huge. And I think that will be even more beneficial for Anthony Davis. I think he should dominate. And then when they get past, the West is fairly wide open. Denver doesn't scare me.
Phoenix doesn't scare you?
You know what? I'm happy you mentioned that. There are two teams that I don't think the Lakers can beat definitively. I don't think they can beat Phoenix, especially if Kevin Durant is healthy, because Kevin Durant, he's one of those guys that you can put, he's the best sort of hired weapon in NBA history without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
He goes to the Golden State and they are unbeatable. He can fit into a system just seamlessly. You don't have to adjust it to Kevin Durant at all. And they made it so that DeAndre Ayton's their fourth best player, which is incredible.
Right.
They made the finals a couple of years ago without Kevin Durant, but Chris Paul was playing better back then. He was like a borderline MVP back then, but still, you know what I mean? I don't think they can beat Phoenix, and I don't think they can beat Milwaukee should they make it that far. Because obviously Milwaukee, Giannis is playing some of the best basketball of his career. Brook Lopez might be Defensive Player of the Year. Drew Holiday is the best defensive guard in the NBA, playing his best offensive ball of his career. Bobby Portis is playing the best ball of his career. Chris Middleton is back. There's a lot of, I think Milwaukee is the clear class of the East.
Right.
But any other team, who would they play in the second round? They'd either play Sacramento or Golden State. Would you give them a shot against either of those teams?
No.
No?
No. I don't think they beat either one. I don't think they can. Definitely can't beat Sacramento. Although Sacramento, they don't guard water. I mean, they don't even try defensively. But I just don't see them being able to keep up. Like, they may win a game if they can slow the pace down and play, LeBron style. But Sacramento, man, they're the number one offensive scoring team in the NBA.
Sure.
And you know what the Warriors can do. You never underestimate champs. So and they're getting their full squad back. So I expect the Warriors to be better. I actually think the Warriors will win this first round matchup with Sacramento.
You know what? I think Sacramento will win, actually.
I
hope Sacramento wins. I want the Warriors out. I want them gone.
Hater.
I don't like the Warriors.
Why?
Well, here's why. Because you will have some fans if they win another one. You had fans when they won this last one that said that Steph is just as good as LeBron because count the rings. That is the most asinine, ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Steph Curry is a borderline top 10 player. You can argue he's the second.
He's borderline?
I got him at 11 on my list. But that's not hate. Steph Curry is number 11. Do you have him as in your top 10?
Yes. Who do you have? Who do you have ahead of him in your top 10?
All right. Actually, I have Steph at 12. I've got.
Dang.
What the hell did you just say?
I
got Michael and LeBron 1B.
Stop it.
I got
Stop
Magic.
It. First of all, let's cut out the 1B. Mike's 1, Bron's 3 or 4. Okay.
Oh, okay. No. LeBron. It is as obvious.
So here's my, and I know we're going off because you always make me go off on certain tangents. But so you guys were so obsessed when LeBron took over the scoring lead, right?
It's a great accomplishment.
It is. I'm not knocking the accomplishment. But a lot of you guys wanted to move him. Now that he is the all-time leading scorer, he should be number 1.
It wasn't just because of that.
So where was Kareem? He passed Kareem. Michael was still 1, so he passed Kareem and becomes 1?
No,
what's the logic in that?
I had LeBron over Kareem even before that. I have Kareem at number 5 on my list, by the way.
Your list sucks. You got Kareem at 5?
Kareem at 5. I got Magic, and Wilt at 3, 4, respectively. Can't say anything about that.
Wilt over Kareem?
Yes.
Why?
Because Wilt had the most dominant peak as a center ever, without a shadow of a doubt.
He's not over Kareem, man. Stop it.
You can make that argument. You can make that argument. I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm just saying that.
Oh, I'm glad you're not dying on that hill because that's.
But I'll tell you what, and I will end it on this. If LeBron James somehow leads the Lakers to an NBA title in the same year that he passes Kareem for the all-time scoring lead, in the same year that Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl MVP, you guys aren't going to want to see me the next day. I'm going to be the most obnoxious person on planet Earth.
I would love to see you because nothing changes.
Everything changes.
I don't care what he does. It's insurmountable to pass the GOAT.
Is most certainly not insurmountable.
It's insurmountable.
I will put him definitively over Jordan.
There's nothing he could do to pass Jordan.
Another Finals MVP?
No. Mike still has how many?
He has 6.
Oh. What are you talking about?
Well, LeBron,
what are you talking about?
LeBron also had 4 finals in which he played great, but they lost.
What? I mean, what stat is that? I mean, what does that count? Oh, he played great, but he lost.
He did play great, but they lost.
Who cares? He lost.
I care.
You're the only one.
No, I do care.
Nobody cares when you lose. That crap goes out the window. We play to win.
All right, fine. Let me just give you quickly. 2014 finals, 28-8-4, 57%, 52% from 3. They lost that finals to the Spurs. 2015, 36-13-9, an inefficient 36-13-9. That was the one where Kevin Love and Kyrie were out, and they lost to the Warriors. Loss. 2017 finals, 34-10, 12-10 on 56% from the floor and 39% from 3. That was the greatest team in NBA history that they lost to with the KD Warriors. And then in 2018, 34-10-9 on 53% shooting and 33% from the 3. That's what I'm saying. You can play great and lose to a better opponent.
Yeah, but you lost. Flannel, we don't. This is not a participation trophy award. This is you win or you lose. This is not. We're not inviting the losing team to the White House. Okay, we're not doing any of that. We're strictly talking about winning, and that trumps all that statistical blah 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 you just spit out for no reason.
But can we?
It does not matter. You lost.
But can we at least agree that it wasn't necessarily LeBron's fault? He played great. He could have been 2015 Finals MVP. All right, JB's like telling me I got to get to break.
Everyone back to your own corners here. let me get in a word about Cintron, please. Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. Right now, they have an exclusive offer for Woodward sports fans for their limited edition Red Wings 6-pack. Only $15 plus free shipping. Head to Cintron.com/Woodward and try it today. All 3 delicious Cintron flavors in one. That's drinkcintron.com/Woodward.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan.
Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals in town. Plus, they will beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your vitamin D headquarters.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle, baby, talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
The sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com. We as Detroit sports fans are in uncharted territory because right now it looks like the Detroit Lions are the best team in the city. I think that's undisputed right now. They finished last season with a winning record. The Tigers suck. The Pistons had a 17-win season, although it was without Cade playing most of the year and lots of injuries. They were basically tanking. And the Red Wings, for all of their stellar play, they're going to finish with a losing record, and they ended up having to sell at the mid-season point because after they had made a brief run to put themselves in playoff contention, they promptly lost a few games in a row, but I still like the direction that they are in. But the Detroit Lions, I have never been more excited about this team in my life. It is amazing. And I know you as a 49ers fan, you've experienced this a lot, but me, this is a team that I'm looking at as a team that can win the division, a team that can win playoff games, a team that has the 4th highest odds in the NFC to win the NFC. I would say that's a pretty good bet, actually. And there's lots of reason for it. We often talk about how they didn't make the playoffs last year. For all of their goodwill, they had a winning record. They didn't make the playoffs, but they were still 9-8 after the previous year winning 3 games, starting off the season 1-6 and finishing 8-2 to go 9-8. And they still had an offense that was 4th in scoring. They had a defense that was overall bad, but in the last 7 games only gave up 20.2 points per game. If you put that over a full season, that would have been 7th. But they did that for 10 games, not a full season, but that's more than half a season sample size. And I think one of the persons that we have to give credit to, a nice slow clap, we could call this segment the Ballad of Brad Holmes, because what he has done in just 2 drafts, he's going on a 3rd, he's gotten you Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's, I think, a top 10 wide receiver. Penei Sewell's one of the better up-and-coming tackles in the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson, who was the best rookie edge rusher, led in sacks, led in pressures. Kirby Joseph, who forced 6 turnovers, including 3 interceptions of one Aaron Rodgers, the nemesis of this town. Malcolm Rodriguez, who was an all-rookie team linebacker. And James Houston, who, and this is not, everybody knows this stat already, but I want to put that in your brains to just show how crazy it is, had more sacks than games played. If you put that over a season, if he keeps doing this over his career, he's the best defensive end ever. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but still, for 7 games, 8 sacks. That is incredible. They've done that all through the draft. And they're bringing back Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator. They're bringing back Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, who had the defense playing very, very well. Should I have this much optimism, or do I need to tone it back a little bit?
You need to calm down.
Okay.
You really need to calm down.
Damn.
Hey, let's not forget about my guy James Houston, Jackson State alum.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, don't forget about him now. But look, I'm on board with the Lions competing to win the division. I'm on board with the Lions making the playoffs first. I mean, you would think, with the excitement and the buzz and how you guys are running around, Stoke not scared. Stoke not scared. I mean, you would think they did something last year.
Scared.
You can get your Stoke Not Scared
in
the Woodward Sports shop today.
Very good.
That went live last night. Please check that out.
That is a very good plug.
I mean, but they didn't make the playoffs. But we had a winning record.
Fine. That's
and I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm happy for the Lions. Trust me, I want to see them do well. I want to go to a playoff game in the city and enjoy it like everybody else. I want us to be down there broadcasting during a playoff game. I want to do all those things. But we have to get there first. And Brad Holmes is doing an outstanding job. In Holmes we trust, right?
Yes.
In Holmes we trust. If he continues to do what he's working his magic, and we have an outstanding draft and add the right pieces, and everybody stays healthy, which is a big part of it, then there's a great chance, hey, we make the playoffs and we do some special things. But hey, let's calm down. Let's let it happen first, because you know what normally happens. And I love joking with my Lions fans. I love joking, especially with my friends who, they are so diehard, and they cry every year at the end of the season because I come around and joke with them and go, 8-8.
8-8.
So, but I want to see them do well so bad, because the city deserves it.
Oh, the city deserves it. This city would explode if the Lions did anything. If they won a playoff game, they would explode.
But you guys have to slow down and let's crawl before we walk. Now, expectations are fine. I don't have a problem with expectations. They're great, but let's crawl before we walk.
I mean, Lions fans have been burned many, many times, because as much as, we're all Lions fans, we want them to do well, we also have to live in reality. The Detroit Lions are the worst franchise in American team sports history. And when we look at the NFL, obviously they had a great run in the 50s, but nobody remembers that. Nobody cares about that except maybe Maz at this point. When we talk about modern NFL, we talk about the Super Bowl era. And in the Super Bowl era, they've won 1 playoff game. But I will say this. There is not a GM that I've ever trusted more than Brad Holmes. I think he's already solidified himself as the best GM in Lions history. What does that say? It says a lot about the previous GMs, but it also says a lot about how great those previous 2 drafts were. This past draft, the one that got you Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, James Houston, and Malcolm Rodriguez, and J-Mo, who we presume will break out this next year, I think it's already the best draft in Lions history. This past free agency period, the period that we are currently in, what was one of their weaknesses last season, the Lions? The secondary. Who did they get? Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley.
The secondary and their run defense.
And that's fair. And trust me, we'll get to that later. But they completely revamped their secondary with veterans, with Cam Sutton, who allowed less than a 70 passer rating last year. when targeted. And Emmanuel Mosley, who's coming off of an injury-plagued season, you know all about Emmanuel Mosley. You know that how good he can be when he played, because when he played, he allowed less than a 65 passer rating in 5 games, albeit. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was tied for the NFL lead in interceptions this past season, was one of the most important pieces on that Eagles defense, which was elite for most of the year. He comes to the Detroit Lions. So that is a secondary that was completely revamped through free agency, along with adding David Montgomery, replacing Jamal Williams with David Montgomery, and even adding a guy like Graham Glasnow, a former Lion, at the right guard position. This might have been, this previous free agency that we are currently in, the best free agency period in Lions history.
Okay.
And that is why the expectations are so high. That is why I come in here with a pep in my step. That is why during the dog days of summer sports, I'm going to have a calendar of like, this is the next Lions game. I'm going to do it for Michigan. I'm going to do it for Lions because I think they're both going to be good, but definitely for the Lions.
So the first month of the season, I'm going to make sure I keep your number close by.
Oh, boy.
Because if the Lions come out struggling, what will be your reaction? Will you say, oh, we're okay, we're going to study the ship, we're going to be okay? Or are you going to panic? Because I know what the rest of the Lion fans are going to do. Well, whoever's struggling, if it's Jared Goff or whatever, they're going to be like, get him out of here. I told you we needed a quarterback. We should have drafted Stroud, or we should have did this, or we should have did that. That's what's going to happen.
And that probably will happen. But to me, Jared Goff and the Lions are a different conversation. With the Lions, it depends on how their schedule plays out. I know they play at Arrowhead, which if they get them in one of the first few games, they're obviously probably going to lose. So
why are you so bleak? They may have the Super Bowl hangover.
That's true, but it's Arrowhead. You know that's one of the toughest places to play. They've been the preeminent winners.
Yeah, that's an L.
They basically turned what the Kansas City Chiefs are now are what the Patriots basically were, the preeminent winners of the NFL. If they play them, if they have a tough opening part to their schedule and maybe start the season 2-2, I won't be panicking. But if they blow one of those home games, say if one of their first few games is a home game against the Bears and they drop that, I will be panicking. If Jared Goff starts the season slow, I don't know if I'll be panicking, but you know there is going to be some questions because Jared Goff is sort of an enigma of this city. We understand that he had a good year last year. We understand that at least for 2 more seasons he's cheap and under contract, but he also could turn back into a pumpkin. You never know. I don't think he will because you're bringing back Ben Johnson. You're bringing back Amon-Ra St. Brown, his favorite target, and we hope and believe that Jameson Williams will be more integrated into the offense, having a full healthy season, a full
they've
offseason.
been working out together.
They've been working out together.
I expect him to explode this year.
I don't foresee Jared Goff taking a step back.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I remember him in the Super Bowl, his last Super Bowl with the Rams.
Don't I know it? I had to watch Tom Brady get credit for winning a Super Bowl in which he led his offense to 13 points because Jared Goff could only manage 3. That happened. God, that was. But Jared Goff, I think, is a better quarterback than he was back then.
We'll see.
We will see.
We'll see because I mean he had a good, decent year. I always look at if you don't make the playoffs, you didn't have a good year. I'm sorry. That's just my own expectations of my team. But I do claim the Lions as my second team. And someone on here said, yep, Lindsey, that's what we do. We'll implode if the Lions start bad.
Well, that's the thing. The expectations and the hopium has never been flowing like it is this year. So if somehow, some way, I don't even want to talk about it because then I don't want to speak it into existence or anything like that. If they somehow disappoint, I would be devastated. I'm not going to lie. I would be a very, very depressed human being. I would still love to come into here and talk about it. I'd love to talk about it and have a therapy session instead of a celebration session with all of my cohorts here. But that would just... It can't happen. Please. I don't think I could take it.
Well, I think. Look, if they go 3-1, yeah, great. 2-2, I think they're still okay. Mm-hmm. Anything less than 2-2, City's gonna be on fire.
Oh, if it's 1-3, absolutely. I mean, 2-2 is still.
And I'm gonna be sitting here laughing.
That's cruel. That's cruel, Lindsey. Don't you root for our happiness? Don't you want us to be happy?
No, I'm torn. Because I do enjoy tormenting the Lion fans for all these times.
No.
But I do want him to be happy sometimes.
You know what? This is actually perfect because I have to tell you about Guardian Alarm. First off, all of that negative energy, stay out, Lindsay. Stay out. It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That is 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Hey, are you feeling tired, depressed, unmotivated, low sex drive, muscle loss, or even belly fat? Testosterone optimization therapy is a safe and effective way to restore your vitality, confidence, performance, and reduce heart disease. So visit CustomHealthCenters.com today for some help. Once again, that is CustomHealthCenters.com.
Cruising into hour 2 of the morning Woodward Show. I am Flannel Sam. To my left is Lindsey Hunter. In the sound booth is JB Smooth. On the chair is Gabby Phillips. And in the technical director booth, of course, is the great Alex Westfall. And let me just say again, if you can't watch this show live, please check out the podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, anywhere you get your podcast. If you're watching this show live on Woodward Sports right now, while you're there, check out the website. We got show replays. We've got all kinds of merch, including the Stoke Not Scared t-shirts that just came up.
And Key Ozzy says all this shaking talk is because you guys are stoked, not scared.
Yes. And if you guys are stoked, not scared, why not wear it loud and proud and support us on our merch site? Because we are all stoked, not scared. Well, it's funny that we mentioned how I'm stoked, not scared, because I am. I think that
you're stoked and scared?
I am stoked.
You're not scared.
I am. No, but because logically I'm not
Sam,
scared.
You hesitated too long, so you're stoked and scared.
Here's my view on it.
Or you're stoked with fear.
I'm stoked. Logically, I'm stoked, but like my heart that has been broken many times is a little bit scorned, but that's okay. That's all right. But I do think it's different. I've been scored before, but I think it's different. But speaking of that, there's a question that was posed on the rundown. What player can the Lions draft that leads you to say that they're contenders? I would contend that they are already contenders. But to me, there are 2 guys in this draft that one I think is realistic, one I think is not, that could put the Lions defense over the top to being good, like for a full year good, not just passable with a good offense, but good. And that is, number 1 is Will Anderson. And Will Anderson is somebody that, Alabama edge rusher, that is somebody that I didn't really think was realistic for the longest time. But then I saw this Mel Kiper mock draft where he has 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks.
Sam, when you reference someone's mock draft, please don't use Mel Kiper. I cannot stand him. And his hair.
Is it more viable, though, than if Flannel Sam was doing a mock draft in his basement or something like that?
No, I'd take your mock draft over Mel Kiper.
Why? I do.
Because he's so in love with Will Levis. He's the best quarterback on the board, guys. I'm sick of him and Will Levis.
Will Levis sucks, by the way. But is some team going to be dumb enough to take him?
Yes,
and
he's talked him into it.
If they are in the top 4, then maybe Will Anderson is a possibility. And Will Anderson, to me, he is one of the best edge rushers coming out ever. When it comes to what he did at Alabama, what his skill set is, his 2021 season where he had 17.5 sacks, 31 tackles for loss, and 101 tackles total, he could have won the Heisman that year. With that season, he would have been the number 1 overall pick if he would have come out last year over Trayvon Walker, over Aiden Hutchinson easily. He put himself in a class when you talk about all-time great college defensive players with guys like Ndamukong Suh, Charles Woodson, maybe Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, guys like that. All-time greats. And if you put him on this Detroit Lions defense, it gives you somebody who's an even better prospect than Aiden Hutchinson, somebody who's a little bit of a different player. But imagine what that could do to that defense. Opposing quarterbacks would be shaking in their boots for the next however many years. One's a rookie, one would be a second-year player. That would be my dream scenario, Will Anderson. I think you put basically young Von Miller and let him ride.
If he's anything remotely like Von Miller, then that's a win-win. And you're talking about pressuring quarterbacks all year long. And that, to me, the key, of course.
Yes.
Protecting the quarterback and pressuring the quarterback. Yeah. Those are the keys to teams winning Super Bowls. And if that's what, the Lions are talking about doing, that would be a great move. I would like you said, I think this draft isn't going to make you a contender. I think you already have to be considered a contender, which you guys consider the Lions contenders, right?
Sure, yeah.
Super Bowl contenders, right? Not playoff contenders, right?
Yeah, because we all think, at least a lot of us think that they're going to win the division. In my opinion, if you're a division winner, you get a home playoff game. And depending how good your season is, you get a home playoff game, and then you're in the NFC Championship. So you have to. You have to go in.
Well, there have been teams that have won Super Bowls on the road. The Giants did it, and their quarterback wasn't considered at the time an all-time great, but he got hot. There was some luck.
Oh, there was definitely some luck. He got hot, and he had that defense with Michael Strahan and guys like that. That was what won them that Super Bowl, not Eli Manning, because they.
Well, Eli played great.
He didn't. He was great.
So Eli Manning didn't have a great run. Those 2 Super Bowls he won.
The Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl, I wouldn't say was a great Eli Manning game.
I'm talking about the entire run.
Oh yeah, of course, the run. Yeah,
right.
Eli Manning
got hot.
He got hot.
So. And this is, getting off of your subject, but Eli got hot. Any quarterback can get hot.
Sure.
And with the defense that the way they had, if the Lions can do something similar,
sure,
and protect Jared Goff, hey, there's a possibility from going from not making the playoffs to the Super Bowl.
And Will Anderson, I think we would both agree, would be a huge help. He's the one I'd say can't miss prospect in this draft. One of the most dominant college defensive players ever. But there's another one that I think could make a huge difference, particularly when it comes against the run. So 2 of the worst losses for the Lions last year, the losses that I would say were missed opportunities. Well, there's one in particular at the beginning of the year. It was the home game against the Seattle Seahawks where the Lions scored 45 points and lost. And one of the reasons was because they couldn't contain that Geno Smith-led offense. And another reason was because Rashad Penny ran it up and down the field. And then we talk about that game at Carolina when they were on that run, where they gave up the franchise record for rushing yards in a game by the Carolina Panthers to Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. This wasn't the Cam Newton, Jonathan Stewart Carolina Panthers. It was Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. And one of the guy in this draft that I think would shut that down immediately from day one would be a guy like Jalen Carter. He would instantly make your run defense better. He would instantly make your defense better because we talk about the Lions defense and how they played well at the end of the year. For the totality of the season, they were 5th worst in scoring defense and 4th worst in rushing yards allowed. So what say you, Lindsey Hunter? Do you think Jalen Carter would be a huge piece to this Lions team? Would you take him?
I would definitely take him. I love him. I've always, but do you think the Lions are willing to do that?
They should. If they're really going to be the brand new Lions, if they're going to wear the hats of the villain, they should, if he's available. He's not, like I said, he's not my first choice. Will Anderson is, but Will Anderson was probably not going to be available unless they trade up. And even then, we'll probably get to that later. I don't know if he's going to be available. But if Jalen Carter is there, he's franchise changing. Yeah,
you guys like that, man. Guys that you think are going to be cornerstones. It's hard to pass them up. I would take him. I would. I'm a defensive guy. I love having a great defense. I think you hang your hat on your defense and you build your offense to protect your quarterback. You get a stable quarterback that can, don't blow the game.
Yeah.
I don't mind game managers. People always go crazy. Well, he's just a game manager. Who cares? There have been plenty of game managers that have won Super Bowls.
Well, in your team's recent history, I mean, you guys have had nothing but game managers.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
It's true. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick had a good run for a couple years.
Yeah, he threw those picks in the end zone, blew the game for us against Seattle. I'm still not living that down, but he was okay. I only count Super Bowls.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got 4 with Montana and 1 with Steve Young, but it's been a while.
Yeah, but we've gotten there, and you can't win it if you don't get there.
Sure.
But I don't count losses in championship games. I don't know who does that.
Well, it's funny because you actually won championships as a player.
Yeah, and I lost one as a player that I don't count. It doesn't matter. We lost. Like, who cares?
I get it. I just think that there's context to a lot of those things.
Yeah, context or whatever. But let me help you out. You don't get rings for runner-up.
No, you don't.
You don't get anything. You know what you get? They ship those T-shirts they printed up for you as being the champions to third world countries. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. So you get nothing.
You just get broken dreams,
That's
right?
it. You go home, you cry for a week, and you sulk, and then you get back out into the world.
Great insight from someone who actually played. Before we go to break, JB, I got to get your thoughts. Is there any franchise – do you think that getting a certain player will take the Lions even to another stratosphere immediately?
I think 1 and 2 is Will Anderson and then Jalen Carter.
Let's go.
I would love it if the Lions kind of just packaged up some draft picks or got a deal done with the Cardinals to move up to 3 to take them right then and there. But chances are that's probably not going to happen. But I'll accept Jalen Carter as a runner-up prize.
No, that's a hell of a consolation prize. Honestly, if it wasn't for what happened in the offseason and for his pro day, which was a little bit alarming, but I'm more of a look at the tape kind of guy, I don't think that he would even fall to 6. So it might be a gift.
See, Sam, people get caught up in these workouts, and this is what just burns me up. You go and watch a guy work out. You got seasons worth of film on him, and you see the product. You see what he did, with all the film work you've watched, and then you go watch a workout, and let's just say you're watching a quarterback, and he has a dynamic arm, and he can sling it all around, and it looks like, wow, this guy's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets, and you draft a guy ahead of other quarterbacks that probably were better, but you went on, man, his workouts were awesome. Like his workout, we were blown away by his workouts. Man, that's nothing.
Think about this. You're talking about Zach Wilson, of course. The Zach Wilson pick for the New York Jets is so damaging, and if they would have gotten it right, could have been amazing, because this past year they had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and a guy in Breece Hall who, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, probably would have challenged his teammate Garrett Wilson for rookie of the year. So they've drafted well, but just not with Zach Wilson. Imagine even Justin Fields on that team, right?
Totally different.
And now they're talking about trading for an old Aaron Rodgers and having a
still better than what they got.
Oh, absolutely. But that's a detriment to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson can't play, and I pretty much knew that from the beginning. I, like you, and this isn't hindsight, this isn't like I wasn't a big Zach Wilson guy either. I never understood it.
No, I didn't either. I watched him, and he No lie, he looked phenomenal in the workouts. He threw some pretty passes with no defense, no pass rush, no D-backs jamming the receivers, no timing or what. He threw some gorgeous passes, just like Trey Lance did.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing about, those guys, you watch them play and you go, man, because I even went back and watched film on Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. But you could see when he played in Iowa State, he had potential. You're like, oh, this guy is not bad. Now he didn't have the most talented team, but he still played good. So when he was inserted into the lineup with, the 49ers and the way he looked, I was like, guy's going to be a good quarterback.
He was in a perfect situation, too. If you want to be a young quarterback, you want to go into a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Absolutely.
That plays into it, having Christian McCaffrey as your running back. That's a part of it, but somebody had to be there. To me, he played better than Jimmy G ever did in his stretch.
Thank you.
And that's the thing.
One thing we agree on,
the one thing we agree on. It's taken us.
I was never a Jimmy G fan. Never.
It's taken us until we finally get a chance to be on the desk. But
9:15. It's 9:15. We're this far into the show. This is the first thing that you guys have actually agreed on. What in the world? It's taking this long.
It's also 9:15, so Chili Peppers Tanning. Tell us about Chili Peppers
Tanning. Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals. They'll be all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans, your vitamin D headquarters.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can until Monday, April 17th. Some favorites like shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and the new fish sandwich. Don't forget the all-you-can-eat fish fry buffet this Friday night. Go to your local Big Boy today.
Tomorrow. Fish fries tomorrow.
Ooh, that is tomorrow. Fish fries are always a lot of fun, especially during Lent season. The fact that they extended it, that is a very, very nice thing for Big Boy to do. Continuing on into hour 2, I am Flannel Sam, filling on the morning show. Lindsey Hunter is to my left. JB Smooth is in the sound booth. You just heard from Gabby Phillips on the chair, and Alex Westfall in the technical director booth. So let's switch gears a little bit from the Lions. Let's talk about 2 in-state Big Ten college basketball teams. Both of them, I would say, disappointed to some degree last year. One quite a bit more than the others, that being Michigan, didn't even make the tournament. Michigan State,
They made a tournament?
Not the NIT. And lost to Vanderbilt. Blew that game. Oh my
They lost
goodness.
to Stack. Way to get them stacked.
Hey, Jerry Stackhouse has built a hell of a program.
It's my guy, man.
Stephen A. really doesn't like me today, does he? Thanks, Jamie. But yes, Michigan State, they at least got into the tournament. They won a couple games, made the Sweet 16, played Kansas State very, very close. I was actually surprised that they were able to keep up and almost win that game. They damn near did. They took them to overtime. But I would say they both disappointed. But I think they're also two teams that could be going in the opposite direction. The Michigan State team, they got players returning. They've got a highly rated recruiting class. But, Lindsey, do you think that Tom Izzo is going to embrace the transfer portal?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
He's he's standing firm on that. Man, he's not messing with the transfer portal. But he doesn't really have to. Look what he has coming back.
Yeah.
He has his entire team just about coming back, and he got a 5-star recruit coming in. So why would he? I think if he was forced to and some studs wanted to come play for him, he would do it.
Well, that's the thing about Tom Izzo this year, because he doesn't have to. This is one of those Michigan State teams that I wouldn't say I fear as a Michigan fan, because we haven't seen them all on the court together. We never know what those recruits are going to turn out to be.
Right.
We know what the players who are returning are going to be.
Right.
I'm not going to say that I fear them, but when it comes to Michigan State teams, I hate Michigan State. I don't like Tom Izzo. A lot of people, Michigan fans, say, like, I like Michigan State, but I don't like Michigan State, but I respect Tom Izzo. I do not like Tom Izzo.
Why don't you like Tom Izzo?
All right, let's get into that really quick. Tom Izzo, I don't like the fact that he gets to go by the moniker of Mr. March, even though he has one title. I understand having 8 Final Fours since 1999 is phenomenal,
right.
But they often don't get the job done. And they've had a couple of flameouts in the tournament, like that Jaren Jackson, Miles Bridges team that had the talent to win the national championship, but flamed out. I'm not saying that's why I think he's overrated on the national sense. He's not overrated in the Big Ten sense, because he is the best Big Ten coach of my lifetime, bar none. Not even close.
Whoa, stop. Listen to what you just said. You said he's not overrated as he's the greatest Big Ten coach of your lifetime, right?
Absolutely.
But he's overrated nationally? Isn't the Big Ten one of the top conferences in the country?
Well, let me just say this. He's not Bill Self. He's not Mike Krzyzewski. He's not Roy Williams. He's not Jay Wright. He's not.
Listen to the guys you're naming.
I know, some of the all-time greats. I get it. But he gets put in conversations he doesn't belong into. But
Whoa.
I will say this. If somehow Tom Izzo can get national championship number 2, then I believe he will belong in those conversations.
So you're saying he's a second tier?
He's at the very, very top of the second tier. To me, I don't know if this is a great comparison, because he's kind of John Calipari.
I knew you were going to say that. But
the thing about John Calipari, though, is that all the NBA talent that Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jamal Murray, Julius Randle.
Dude, he had 5 or 6 on one team at one time.
That was Karl Anthony Towns. Devin Booker was on that team.
Don't think about the team with what's the big center that's out the NBA now? They had a squad. They were loaded.
DeMarcus Cousins. Yes. John Wall was on that team. Eric Bledsoe.
They were loaded.
So it kind of depends on what you want, because John Calipari, he's obviously Kentucky basketball over the past, I would say, 10, 11, 12, 13 years has been the #1 pro sports factory in all of sports. Just the names that I listed.
Yeah, but are you giving him credit for having a lot of pros and no championships?
And that's where I'm getting to. He's underachieved. They only won 1. But Tom Izzo has also only won 1. So I think that's kind of why they're neck and neck. I give John Calipari credit for his recruiting and for, I wouldn't say developing those players, because a lot of times it looks like they're stunted, but they often go to the pros and show out. You got to give him credit for that.
I'm putting Izzo above Cal.
Okay, that's fair.
I can't do that, because Cal, Izzo doesn't have the talent that Cal gets.
Sure.
Like, Cal gets pros every single year. Like we just talked about. This dude had 5 or 6 pros on one squad. He was bringing Devin Booker off the bench. My goodness.
I know.
Come on.
And Devin Booker is going to be one of the best Kentucky pros out of all of them.
Right.
And before you guys say, like, Sam's a Michigan fan, what have they done? I understand that. Tom Izzo is better than any coach Michigan's ever had. I know Michigan's only been to 2 Final Fours in that same span. They've been to 5 since '89 with 1 championship, and Michigan State's been to 8 since '99 with 1 championship. I get it. Michigan is not as good as Michigan State. I'm just saying that Tom Izzo, he needs that second title, and I think he wants it this year. And this is one of his best opportunities, I think, with the recruiting class, 3rd ranked in the nation. You got Malik Hall coming back, Tyson Walker, A.J. Hogarth, Jaden Akins, who you have sang his praises.
Yeah, really, really talented kid, man. I think he's, to me, he's probably the most pro-ready. He will be the most pro-ready kid on that team. And if he has a breakout year, they'll be really good.
If he has a breakout year, then they're scary.
Yes.
He was definitely the best pro prospect on last year's team.
Yes.
I thought if he would have came out, he might have gotten drafted second round.
I don't know, maybe. It's hard to say right now because, I think he played well enough to be on the radar. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he played well enough to push himself where I think he belongs, which I think he could possibly be a first-round pick eventually.
If he continues to shoot the three,
No, he can shoot the ball. And he's strong, 6'3", legitimately athletic.
He was dead-eye at times.
Yeah,
and that's if he does that.
He has all the attributes that you look at these new point guards have.
Sure.
The size, the athleticism, the range, the handle, great feet. He has all that stuff, man. He just has to put it together.
Absolutely. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's Michigan basketball. And I'll be honest, after this was the toughest season that I've ever experienced as a Michigan fan.
Really? So
yes.
How old were you when the Amaker era was here?
Well, I was in my early to late teens. I think I was 9 or so, the ages of 9 to 14 or something like that.
Okay.
I can't do the math off the top of my head, but there were never expectations.
What do you mean? It's Michigan. There were expectations. They just sucked.
But this team did not have the talent to suck. But they did. Hunter Dickinson, great college player. Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard, 2 NBA first-rounders, and they didn't even make the tournament. And I was very, very upset. I wanted him gone. But he's here. Juwan Howard is here. And he has...
And how many years is this for Juwan?
It's 4.
This will be his 4th year?
This will be his 5th.
5th?
But it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm about to... He might be able to redeem himself. And here's how.
Really?
Michigan has the 2nd-ranked transfer portal class coming into 2023 as of right now. They brought in Caleb Love from North Carolina. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Caleb Love fan. I think he's another guy that tends to think he's a better shooter than he is. But he's also, when he's on, he's a walking bucket. You saw what he did in the Final Four against Duke last year. If that can be harnessed, if he can not be such a shot jacker, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but Michigan needs a scorer. They're bringing in Trey Jackson from Seton Hall, who a lot of you probably haven't heard of him because why would you? He was a average player at Seton Hall, but 6'10" forward, averaging about 6.8 a game on 38% from the three. They need a stretch big man for sure.
They got one. Well, I mean, they had one.
They had one. Yeah, if Hunter Dickinson comes back, that will... I don't think that's dead and gone, that dream, but I don't know.
He may come back.
I'm not counting on it. But if Juwan Howard can reshape this roster through the transfer portal, along with a Doug McDaniel coming back, who I thought showed some very good things at the end of the year during a 3-game stretch where Michigan was on a 3-game winning streak. He was giving you 18 a game on over 50% shooting.
Right.
Terrace Reed is coming back, and for those of you who don't know, and I actually had to look this up, Terrace Reed was a higher-ranked recruit than Jet Howard. And Terrace Reed showed some things. He obviously has a very raw offensive game, but he's a big body. He's a rim protector. I liked what he did for a freshman. He just needs to step up. But
he played well this freshman.
Sure,
I enjoyed watching him play. I thought he got better as the season went on. I just think there was chemistry problems because Hunter Dickinson. I'm a big fan of Hunter Dickinson.
Another thing we agree on. Let's go.
So I actually think that they didn't play through him enough because I think he commands a double team because he's that good. And I know people are going to dog him and talk about, he's not. No, he's really good. He's good. And I think Juwan has to figure out if he comes back how to use him correctly to get everybody else shots. And I think he can do that.
And I'll tell you what, the first sign that I know someone's a casual is if they just act like it was all Hunter Dickinson's fault this season. That stuff drives me so insane. And you know what? We will leave it on that. But first, Swiss Insurance. Let me find that real quick. All right. Swiss Insurance is the best insurance that you can possibly have. And many people choose a 1-1 start date. Swiss Insurance, give them a shot, and you for sure will not be disappointed. You can email them at mark@swissins.com. That is mark@swissins.com.
You've heard of Gordon Ramsay. You've heard of Bobby Flay. But Thursday Night Master Chef Brad Holmes Jones will be in the kitchen with all of the ingredients needed to make a great dish on draft night. Join Woodward Sports for our 3rd annual Woodward Sports Draft Party, live at 5th Avenue in Royal Oak. The past 2 years, these parties have been standing room only, so get your tickets early at eventbrite.com. Don't miss out on all the fun with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, Neil Rule, Darren McCarty, and the entire Woodward Sports crew. The party starts at 7:30 p.m. Don't miss the biggest draft party in the Motor City, brought to you by the biggest network, Woodward Sports.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show, live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, along with Lindsey Hunter. If you can't watch this show live, please be sure to tune in and rate and review the podcast. It's available on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can get your podcasts. And check out our merch on the website. We've got all of the best merch, including new Stoked Not Scared t-shirts, because we are all stoked not scared here.
Stoked not scared. Stoked not scared. Stoked not scared.
That never gets old, JB. But there is certainly a team that nobody can convince themselves to be stoked for, and that, of course, is the Detroit Tigers, who are again off to a morbid start. They lost last night in extra innings to the Toronto Blue Jays 4-3, which brings their season record to 2-9. And I could not agree more. And the one thing about the Tigers, I wouldn't say to give them hope, is that at the very least, Al Avila is gone. I like who they have in charge, Scott Harris. He is proven that 2021 San Francisco Giants team that he was the general manager of led baseball in wins that year. I think they had 108. The Dodgers had 107. And that was a team that had really no business being that good. But that was Scotty Harris that put them together. So that was a hire that I was a fan of. But right now, there's still so much left from the ghosts of Al Avila that it's good. It looks like it's going to be ugly for the next couple of years.
Hey, somebody made a comment and said they're going to lose 100 games.
It wouldn't shock me at all.
Oh, God, that's brutal.
But here's the one thing. I don't know if they will necessarily be historically bad and lose 100 games. Because the one thing I will give them, and I'm not giving an excuse in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, you are.
They have played a brutal schedule. They started the year at Tampa Bay. And I don't know. I don't think Tampa Bay's even lost a game yet. And then they go to Houston and actually win a couple of those games, which I was surprised about. Gave me a little bit of false hope. They get swept at home versus the Red Sox by a combined score of 24-9, and then they give up 9 to Toronto 2 nights ago. They lose in extra innings, and those are all good teams. All of those teams you could see in the playoffs, except maybe the Red Sox, but still, it's not looking good. It's really, really hard for me as somebody who loves baseball, as someone who loves going to Comerica Park, to just almost feel like the next couple of seasons you basically just have to punt. It's miserable, man.
Hey, every sports team in town has to take their turn at being the worst. It's all a cycle. It's going in a cycle. And for once, the Lions are the best.
Hey.
And the Tigers right now are battling out with the Pistons.
I'll tell you what, though. And this is a little bit off topic, but if the Lions were to win a Super Bowl, the Tigers could go 0-162 and I wouldn't care. Because this is a Lions town, obviously, and I've experienced nothing positive in my life as a Lions fan. And you know what's even crazy? There was one trade that Al Avila made before he left that I think we all thought was going to be a win, and that was the Austin Meadows for Isaac Paredes trade. And obviously Austin Meadows is going through some things, and we wish him nothing but the best.
Right.
But here's the reality. Before Austin Meadows got traded, during his time with the Rays, he was an all-star. Before Isaac Paredes got traded to the Rays, he was a 2-home run, 11 RBI guy in 2 seasons for the Tigers. You switch him. In 42 games played with the Tigers, Austin Meadows, 0 home runs, 13 RBIs. God. In 123 games with the Rays, Isaac Paredes, 23 home runs and 55 RBIs. So even that trade seems like an L. And like I said, I'm not trying to dog Austin Meadows. I hope that he gets the help that he needs, but at the end of the day, that still looks like it might be a bad trade. Al Avila never won one. And this team is going to suffer probably for the next few years. It's terrible.
Would you agree it's harder to build a great baseball team than it is in any other sport?
It is, because a lot of those guys that get drafted high, you may never even see in the majors. It may be a few years before you see them.
Right.
Even a guy like Casey Mize, who was the #1 overall pick as a pitcher, he obviously came through the minors fast and made it to the big leagues. But like a lot of pitchers, Tommy John.
Yep.
It's something that obviously he can recover from, and we hope that he turns in to be a great pitcher, because he was your #1 overall pick. You certainly don't want to waste that.
Yeah, baseball is tough, man. I got to go to a couple of their training facilities out in Phoenix when I was out there, just to hang out with the GM and just see their development program. And, man, you got to see a bunch of young kids out there, and you're looking around like, these are like teenagers. What are they doing? But they all get paid, and they live there, and they're developing them. And one thing that stood out to me, the GM was like, we really don't do a good job of developing our people. He was like, we may get one.
No.
He was like, we may get one. Out of all these guys, we may get one. That's a major leaguer. And that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And they're spending tons of money. Their facilities are phenomenal, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know what needs to change, but something does.
That somehow gives me less hope. but that's all right. At least I believe in the GM, Scotty Harris. But I talked about the Isaac Paredes, Austin Meadows thing. Do you want even more miserable stats about the Detroit Tigers so far this year? Their team ERA, 6.73. When you look at the first series at Tampa Bay, they were outscored by a combined 21-3, which is an average of 7-1. In the home series against the Boston Red Sox, like I said before, they got outscored 24-9. That's an average of 8-3. And that is something that I personally expected was going to be, I wouldn't say a strength of the Tigers, but something that may be better than people thought. But Spencer Turnbull, a guy that I thought was going to break out, and he still might, has an ERA of 13.50. Joey Wentz has an ERA of over 10. Matt Manning has an ERA of over 4. He's one of their better pitchers. He's someone that they definitely need to step up. But it's not just the pitchers. There is one person in Detroit sports right now who I think is the mortal enemy, and is definitely the mortal enemy of me personally, and that is Javier Baez.
Right.
Get this man out of here.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here.
As a baseball player, he's just an eyesore. Last year, his on-base percentage, 277. This year, I know it's a small sample size, 163. That is losing baseball. Eric Haas, 167. These are on-base percentages. These aren't averages. Spencer Torkelson, 250, a guy that we have a lot of hope for, but you can't get on base 1 out of every 4 times you step up to the plate. Jake Rogers is at a couple home runs, 250. 1 out of every 4 times you step up to the plate, you get on base. That's awful. And even Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera at this stage of his career is a shell.
Leave Cabrera alone.
I'm not going to leave Miguel Cabrera alone.
Stop. He's on his victory tour. Leave him alone.
Miguel Cabrera is one of the greatest hitters in MLB history.
All right.
What he did between the years of, I believe, 2010 and 2013. Here's a crazy stat about Miguel Cabrera back in his prime. Between 2010 and 2013, there were 4 seasons. 3 of them, he had an OPS of over 1,000. The other one was his Triple Crown season, which basically means he had a Triple Crown year and then 3 seasons surrounding it that might have even been better.
Right.
But his last 7 years, including this year, he's been not good.
Dude, he's at the end.
For 7 years? Are you supposed to fall off a cliff when you're 34?
I don't know, but he's at the end right now. So let's cut a little slack on him.
But still, I don't like seeing him out there right now. I love what he was, but not...
Sam, everybody comes to the end of the road, okay? And it may not be what you want, but it happens. And
7 years? 7 years of nothing? I I don't like it.
Well, it happened, and let's just take our hats off to him and just thank him for what he was.
All-time great.
Exactly.
Definitely either first or second when it comes to right-handed power hitters of this generation. It's either him or Albert Pujols.
See, here's your problem. When LeBron comes out here looking like a broken down shell of himself, you'll be still sitting there, oh, man, he's still great. He made a layup. Cabrera comes down looking his age and looking like it's time to hang him up, and you're like, get him out of here.
But the difference is LeBron James is 38, and he's still giving you 29 a game.
Yeah,
is he ever
in 50 games?
Is he great 56 games?
Man, come on, it's 82 games in a season.
Fine, but you can't even compare those two. Miguel Cabrera was finished at 34. LeBron James is going to win a Finals MVP at 38.
Different sports, man.
I know it's different. I know it's different sports. I'm just saying that the Tigers they're not fun to watch. No. Gabby, you were telling a story about your experience with the Tigers game last night.
Right.
Would you care to share it on air?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. So I was ready to call it quits for the night, stopped watching the game about halfway through. I was talking to my dad, and my dad was like, you're going to see. They're going to turn it around this game. We're going to make it all the way through this one. They're going to make it all the way through, I promise you. I'm like, all right, have fun with that. I don't think it's going to end well. But if you want to have that belief, go ahead. It's the same belief he has in the Lions. Carries over to the Tigers. Carries over to the Tigers. Yep. I woke up this morning. First text message I have on my phone. You were right. You were right. Same old Tigers? Are we starting that?
Yep.
You know what? The Tigers, they're not the worst franchise in MLB history, but they have the longest playoff drought. And it's funny because I met your dad. He seems like a very, very positive guy. So that doesn't shock me at all. But we need more of that in the world. So tell him to keep his spirit. Anywho, coming up next, we're going to do a little bit more Lions talk. But first, tell me about Planet Fitness, where I can go work out.
Planet Fitness, now is the best time to join Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where you can work out, in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. It is fantastic. I love Planet Fitness over in Lake Orion. The facility is always perfectly clean, great friendly faces when you walk in the door. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of your physical and mental wellness. Join today in club or online at www.planetfitness.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show live on Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. We got Lindsey Hunter, the 2-time champion, to my left. We got JB Smoove in the sound booth. And Alex Westfall on the 1s and 2s. And we heard from Gabby Phillips in the chair earlier. I love this crew. This has been a really, really fun day. And you know what? Me and you, Lindsey, we've kept it pretty civil because, you know what? As much as we disagree about some things, I respect the hell out of you. And it is genuinely cool to be doing a show with Lindsey Hunter. I watched you, man. I watched you play.
You're making me feel old. Don't say that.
I'm not. Well, you should be honored, though. Like I said, I watched you. I
appreciate that.
I'm a student of basketball, so I know all about Lindsey Hunter, at least some of his escapades in basketball. So very, 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 very nice, and that should not go unsaid. So, anywho, there's a certain team that's picking number 2 in the NFL draft, and that is the Houston Texans. You think that the Houston Texans, it's a no-doubt slam dunk that they're going to take one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft, CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, whichever one falls to them. Because last season, they had to put up with the Davis Mills experience. He sucks. Their best quarterback in franchise history asked to be traded, and who's the other one they've ever had? Matt Schaub. And then, of course, we already talked about David Carr, who had his career ruined by them early on. So you think, get your franchise quarterback now. They've got some nice pieces. They got the number 12 overall pick and the number 33 overall pick. But there's some talk that maybe they're not set on taking a quarterback. And if they don't take a quarterback, my dream of Will Anderson could be a thing of the past, because I think that's who they would take, and I wouldn't be very happy about that. But one of the questions that was posed, if the Houston Texans don't take a quarterback, could CJ Stroud fall to the Lions? Ooh. And if so, what say you about possibly taking him?
Man, if CJ Stroud falls to the Lions, that's tough, man. Tough. I don't think you can pass. I don't think you can pass on him. Even if you draft him and make a deal to do something else, I think you take that asset, because I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. I love the kid from Alabama.
Bryce Young,
I like Bryce, but I think CJ is better to me.
No, that's fair. And I think that you could argue, to me, I like Bryce Young a little bit better, but to me it's 1-2. And CJ Stroud, he might end up being the best quarterback in the class. And the thing about Jared Goff, I defended him a lot last year, but like we said many times on this show, he is cheap and under contract for 2 years. If he plays really well next season, he might ask for an extension. I mean, Daniel Jones got $40 million a year, and in his breakout year, he threw 15 touchdown passes. So
Danny Dimes,
Daniel Jones. That's I can't believe he got that kind of money. But still, if CJ Stroud, I've said if a quarterback falls to 6. I'm not taking Anthony Richardson. I'm not taking Will Levis, because I'm not in the business of taking quarterbacks who weren't good in college, who weren't even productive in college. But CJ Stroud, in 2 seasons, I watched a lot of his games because I'm a Michigan fan. I also watched him take 2 L's to Michigan, which was kind of the one thing that maybe you worry about with him. He was a Heisman finalist twice. His career touchdown to interception ratio, 88 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in his career. And he made up, I think, at least when you talk about his draftability, for the poor performance he put on at home versus Michigan in the last regular season game by torching Georgia in the college football playoffs for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think he has the best arm. He's accurate. He showed more mobility that the clamps were kind of put on him early in the year, but during the game against Georgia, you saw some mobility. Right. And he also led the game-winning drive, but the kicker just shanked the field. So CJ Stroud, a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yes.
We're not necessarily sold that Jared Goff is somebody that we should pay $45 million a year to. Maybe, but that's not something that's a foregone conclusion. So CJ Stroud, if he's there, you know what? If CJ Stroud is there, Will Anderson's gone, Jalen Carter's gone, I'd take him. I would.
That's bold of you. So you're not all the way in on Jared Goff.
I think it's short-sighted to just talk about, Jared Goff had a good season last year. Jared Goff is under contract for 2 more years. Those 2 years are going to pass really quick. And if he has a great year, he's going to ask for an extension. I got to get JB's opinion on this one. For the record, I don't think CJ Stroud is going to fall to the Lions, but if the Texans pass on him, if CJ Stroud somehow falls to the Lions, do you accept the gift and take him, or do you say, no, we don't need a quarterback?
I think at this point in the Lions franchise, you have to accept the gift and pick CJ Stroud. I know it's going to be heartbreaking, but still at the same time, you got to think ahead. You might not be able to pick in the top 10 in the near future. So get at least that backup quarterback right now that can sit behind Goff, that can learn as much as he can, and hopefully eventually improve to be a starter, because we all know Goff isn't lasting here for too much long. But still, to get that franchise quarterback for the future, you kind of can't pass on it.
And that's the thing, and that's why I mentioned a gift, because I think that's what CJ Stroud would be dropping to number 6 overall. A gift. He might be the number 1. He might end up being the best player in this draft, the most impactful, if he becomes the best quarterback in the draft. So to me, that is why I would take him. He was highly productive in college. He wasn't Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, who basically have just turned into workout warriors. They're media creations is what they are.
Well, Nicholas Duncan said, if Stroud is there at 3, I want to trade and sit behind Goff for 2 years.
I'm not trading up to 3. That's the one thing. Because if you trade up to 3, I would be okay if they did that for Will Anderson. But if you trade up to 3, what else are you going to have to give up? Are you going to have to give up pick number 18? If you trade up for Stroud, it's presumable that he might not help the team this season. And what if you have to give up 18 as well? So out of the whole first round, you might not have any picks that really are helpful to this team this year, the team that we all are soaked, not scared for. You'd hope that Brad Holmes just hits a bunch of home runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th rounds, which he has showed that he can do, but not everybody bats 1,000. To me, that's why I would take the gift if it's available of C.J. Stroud. I would
How do you not?
How do you not, right? I miss Fish.
Well, Tony D said Stroud is not the best. That's BS.
It's either him or Bryce Young. And I know, like I said, there's been such a groundswell for especially Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson, let me remind you, had a 53.8% completion percentage in his 1 year as a starter.
Well, they would say he didn't have talent. It was a lot of drop passes.
A lot of drop passes. A lot of throwaways. I heard that one too. He's always throwing the ball away because nobody can get open. But in 4 games, Anthony Richardson had a completion percentage of less than 50%, including the dud of all duds against Will Levis in Kentucky, 14 of 35, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. That was the quarterback showcase. Will Levis versus Anthony Richardson. They both looked bad, but Anthony Richardson, comparative to Anthony Richardson, Will Levis looked like young Joe Montana.
That was one game.
I know.
That was one game, and they both sucked that game, too.
They both sucked that game.
Yeah, so I'm not buying those guys either.
Absolutely not. And that's the thing. C.J. Stroud, I think he's a guy that could develop into a franchise NFL quarterback. And I'm saying that as a Michigan fan, as somebody who rooted very, very hard for him to lose against Michigan, and he did twice, but I recognize the talent.
You're hanging on to that, aren't you?
Of course I'm going to hang on to that. Those are two
of my... Did Michigan play in the championship, the college championship?
No, they did not.
Oh, have they ever?
1997.
They played in it?
97, they were national. The 97 season, the 98.
No, did they play in the college championship game?
Oh, like the college football playoff?
Yes.
Oh, no. They played it twice.
That old stuff, it doesn't count. It's the new stuff
now. It
counts.
Did Charles Woodson not exist? Did we wipe Charles Woodson off the face of the list?
I asked, did they play in the college playoffs championship game?
They went to the college football playoff twice, lost in the first round both times.
Okay, they didn't play in it.
That's Lindsey Hunter, always knowing it's all right. You know what?
I'm just saying they didn't play in the championship game. They didn't get there, and you guys were so overconfident.
I know.
I mean, I was sitting around. You guys were talking about, oh yeah, they're just gonna run through TCU. This is gonna be easy work.
The TCU loss was one of the worst losses in Michigan football history. I still have nightmares about it. I had to come in the next day and face the music. It was awful.
I'm just glad you guys lost because you guys would have been in here wearing khakis.
Probably. Shoot. I'll wear anything if Michigan wins a national championship.
I
will cut off a toe if Michigan wins a national championship.
They'd have been here with like Jim Harbaugh with khakis and cut off shirts and all type of foolishness.
Probably. And I would have been proud of it. You know where I'm proud to go for lunch because it's the best lobster I've ever had? JB, tell us.
Oh, it has to be Cousins' Maine Lobster. Woodward Sports loves lobster. I know Lindsey does as well, too.
Absolutely.
And what better way to get your fix than Cousins' Maine Lobster? With 2 food trucks rolling around Detroit right now, you can be sure to find the best lobster rolls, lobster tots, and lobster tacos to power you through the rest of your day. Go to Cousins' Maine Lobster right now to find their schedule or scan that QR code, order ahead, get some reward points as well. It's Cousins' Maine Lobster.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
You're about to be shell-shocked. The catch of the day is in. Big Boy Seafood Fest is officially back. Join us for some of your favorites like our popcorn shrimp and pike perch platters and our classic fish and chips. This year, we've reeled in some fresh catches like our shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir-fry, and our fish sandwich. And especially, don't forget about our all-you-can-eat Friday night fish fry buffet. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the 3 biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Final segment of the day. Me and Lindsey Hunter are actually probably going to get through it without having too big of a blow-up argument, but that is okay. That's because we respect each other.
Still possible, though. Still possible.
It is still possible.
Three agreements. Three agreements. I'm keeping track. 3 agreements on the record, but time really does fly when you're having fun. It's been so much fun filling in on the morning show. Just an absolute joy. We got Lindsey Hunter to my left, JB Smooth in the sound booth, Gabby Phillips on the chair, and Alex Westfall on the 1s and 2s in the technical director booth. And now it is time for Mailbag, which I forgot to tease. That is my fault. Okay, I actually got one really quick. Mailbag. Who is the biggest LeBron fanboy? Sam Flannel or Shannon Sharp?
Flip a coin.
I would actually, you know what?
Flip a coin.
I would probably have to give the nod to Shannon, but
I don't know. He's just more visible.
Yes.
You are right there, neck and neck. Just flip a coin.
I forgot who mentioned this, but one person, for the heavyweights back during football season, I would hop on from time to time, and they had this challenge where we would pick games, and whoever lost would wear a hot dog suit. And I lost like 4 times in 6 appearances. It was terrible. And one of the things that they said is if Michigan wins the national championship, Sam Flannel said would wear the hot dog suit and do the worm. And it's like, yeah, I probably would. I'll be honest, I can't do the worm.
But you don't have to worry about it because they're not winning nothing.
Oh, this season, I have. All right, my mailbag. Oh, you know what? This is another one about LeBron. How do you love LeBron for losing in many championships, but hate Izzo for the same thing?
Oh,
you know
bingo! Way to get him!
I already gave you that because LeBron James, he's been in 10 finals. He was terrible in one of them, 2011. That was the worst black mark on his career by far. He was overmatched in 2007, where he actually got an undermanned teams to the finals by going through the Pistons, hanging 48 on them. But other than that, he's had 4 finals MVPs and 4 dominant other finals performances that he lost.
You see how he had to throw that subtle jab in? He got by the Pistons and dropped 48 on them.
Did not happen. That was where LeBron James
really... Yeah, but that wasn't the finals. We're talking about he lost.
He got there 10 times.
What do you want, a ribbon? You want a good job? You got there. What do you want? A sticker? You want a donut? Oh, you want a popsicle? You got there.
You're one of those people that
sucks. Nobody cares that you got there. You didn't win.
You're one of those people that penalizes LeBron for actually winning the East. Yes, you do.
I don't penalize him, but you don't get anything for getting there. What do you want? Hot cocoa?
You don't get anything, but it shouldn't be as big of a demerit. You shouldn't just look at finals records.
It means nothing. You got there. So Barkley gets a second place ring? Oh, he got there.
Well, Charles Barkley has 0 and 1 finals appearance.
Oh, my point, he got there. So what are we talking about? They got there.
And for the record, I love Michael Jordan, but he lost to the Pistons 3 times. He gets no penalty. He doesn't get penalized for that at all. He does get
penalized for it, but it's overwhelmingly when you win 6. Like, that kind of overshadows a lot.
Absolutely. And Michael Jordan is...
And three-peat.
I get it. Michael Jordan's great.
Who else has 3-peats?
Who does have 3-peats? Oh, Shaq and Kobe. Hey, you were part of one of those teams.
Yes.
You know what?
It's hard to 3-peat.
You know what? Mailbag from Flannel Sam to Lindsey Hunter really quick, if you don't mind this digression.
Go ahead.
What was it like playing with Shaquille O'Neal at the peak of his powers?
It's like a video game. I witnessed him one night. We were playing Golden State, and Danny Fortson flagrant fouled him and ripped his jersey. And they were about to fight, and dude, Shaq came to the sideline, and he told Phil, give me the damn ball and get everybody else out the way. And dude, he went berserk. And I was like, Oh my goodness! Can he do this every night?
I mean, there's nothing you could have done to stop him.
No, there's nothing you could do to stop him.
But
try to foul him,
right.
Send him to the line. But that's it.
Well, we look at that three-peat. Those 3 finals performances by Shaq were 3 of the most dominant finals performances ever. People, I don't think people forget, but people don't, I think, comprehend how great and how dominant he actually was. So I like hearing about him from somebody who actually played.
He was amazing, man.
With them. Let me find another.
Here's one.
You got one?
Lindsey, would you call Sam a bandwagon Laker fan?
Yes. I'm a LeBron fan. But I'm not.
Definitely a bandwagon.
I wouldn't root for them over the Pistons. I will say that. But that's my consolation prize. I want to see.
4. That's 4 agreements. You can agree on that. You know what? That's great. Now we just have to beat it on the show tomorrow. If you guys can agree 5 times tomorrow, that will be a win for me.
I don't think so.
There's your challenge right there.
If you guys don't have anything, I got one more that I see off the top. Mailbag. Is J.J. McCarthy, is he him? Absolutely, he's him. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, and look for him to maybe be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. People act like he was trash or just a game manager the whole year. He threw 22 touchdowns. He ran for 5. He played the game of his life at Ohio State and cemented his Michigan legend. J.J. McCarthy 100% is him.
You think he is?
Yes.
Didn't Michigan just sign another quarterback?
For 2024.
Oh, 2024.
2024. Okay. Another 5-star. Is Michigan becoming QB?
Yeah, I'm not sold on JJ, but if you say so, we'll see.
We're going to leave it with you two on a positive note for today and wrap it up here. Thank you for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show today with the whole team here. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. And as always, check out what we have going on at woodwardsports.com. Great articles all day, every day, shows all day, every day, and awesome merch. We'll see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m.